Federico Valverde and the debate that shakes Madridismo. In the very heart of Madridismo, where passion, tradition, and footballing identity collide, a debate has ignited, one that no fan, pundit, or even casual observer can ignore. It is not a trivial matter of tactics or an isolated discussion of formations. Instead, it touches upon something deeper: the role, identity, and destiny of one of Real Madrid's most beloved warriors. The man at the center of this storm is none other than Federico Valverde. To the outside world, Valverde is a tireless midfielder, a relentless runner, and a symbol of modern football's dynamism. But to the Bernabeu faithful, he is more than that. He is the silent captain, the lungs of the team, the embodiment of effort, and a reminder that wearing the white shirt demands more than talent. It demands sacrifice, loyalty, and an almost spiritual connection with the crest. 4 years now, Valverde has epitomized that ethos, winning not just matches but also the unshakable admiration of the fans. Recently, however, the Uruguayan has made headlines not only for his performances but also for his words. And in a club where the weight of statements can be as heavy as trophies, his message has resonated powerfully. He is not a right back, he has never been one, and he does not wish to be used in that position on a consistent basis. Honesty in an age of silence. What makes this declaration so striking is not only its content but its courage. Footballers today often prefer to remain silent, to accept whatever role they are given, to avoid headlines or conflict. Yet Valverde, in his characteristically quiet but firm manner, has spoken up. Not to challenge authority, not to create division, but to defend both his identity and the team's best interests. It was not defiance, it was honesty, leadership in its purest form. His words echoed across the Spanish capital and beyond. Within hours, radio debates turned fiery, television panels were split, and social media erupted with threads, memes, and voice notes dissecting every syllable of his statement. In stadium stands and in bars across Madrid, the conversations were animated. Should Valverde sacrifice himself for the team wherever needed, or should the team protect his natural role at all costs? For many, the answer was simple. Feed has already proven his commitment. He has run until his legs seemed ready to give out, pressed opponents until they suffocated, broken lines with his explosive bursts, and lifted his teammates with his contagious energy. No one questions his willingness. But football is not merely about effort, it is about maximizing talent. And Valverde's natural habitat is the center of the pitch, not the right flank of the defense. The tactical dilemma. Improvisation can be useful in emergencies, but as a long-term solution, it is often disastrous. Valverde has admirably filled in as a right back when the team faced injury crises or tactical experiments. In those moments, his intelligence and sheer willpower allowed him to deliver respectable performances. Yet to transform such an adaptation into a permanent or semi-permanent role would be to misunderstand both the player and the position. A modern right back is not simply a defender stationed on the flank. It is a highly specialized role, requiring years of instinctive learning. The position demands constant overlapping runs, precise timing to cover inside spaces, specialized one-on-one defensive duels, an understanding of when to tuck in and when to widen, and endless sprints both forward and back. It is a craft, a profession within the profession. Valverde, by contrast, was formed to dominate midfield battles. His gift lies in being the bridge between defense and attack, the box-to-box dynamo who can appear at both penalty areas within seconds. Asking him to trade that central influence for the shackles of a fullback is, in tactical terms, to rob Peter to pay Paul. The cost is not just the loss of his midfield impact but the exposure of a defensive line manned by a player who, no matter how talented, is not a natural in that role. The voice of the Bernabeu. Perhaps no group has been as emphatic as the fans themselves. In the grandstands of the Santiago Bernabeu, where judgment is swift and merciless but love is eternal once earned, the message has been clear. Valverde must play where he shines, not where he merely survives. The problem of the right-back position cannot be patched by converting midfielders into defenders. It must be solved structurally, through proper squad building and, if necessary, decisive moves in the transfer market. To strip the team of one of its most effective midfield engines in order to paper over cracks at the back is to weaken two areas instead of strengthening one. If the right flank is fragile, the responsibility lies not with Valverde but with the management to reinforce it. For a club of Real Madrid stature, compromise is not an acceptable strategy. Specialists exist for a reason, and Real Madrid should have them. The physical toll. Beyond the tactical misalignment lies a physical warning that cannot be ignored. Valverde is already one of the most hard-working players in Europe, consistently topping charts for distance covered per match. His style is based on relentless pressing, lung-bursting runs, and never-ending sprints between boxes. Adding the heavy defensive workload of a full-back, tracking wingers, recovering in transition, contesting aerial duels at the far post, risks not only draining his stamina but also diminishing his attacking contributions. Over the course of a long and demanding season, where Real Madrid inevitably competes across multiple fronts, such an adjustment could prove decisive. A fatigued Valverde in spring could mean fewer decisive goals, fewer defensive recoveries in midfield, and less energy in the moments when trophies are won or lost. Protecting him is not just about respecting his wishes, it is about ensuring the team's long-term competitiveness. Leadership without the armband. Some critics have suggested that by speaking out, Valverde may have risked stepping beyond his role. Yet in truth, his actions reveal precisely why he is admired. He understands that leadership does not require wearing the armband. Leadership sometimes means voicing the uncomfortable truth, standing up not just for oneself but for the collective. In Real Madrid's storied history, there have always been players who shaped destiny not only through their goals or passes but through their personalities. From the strong voices in the locker room of the 1950s to the commanding figures of the Galacticos era, the club has been built as much on character as on talent. Valverde's words fit that lineage. He has shown he is not afraid to speak, because his love for the badge outweighs his fear of controversy. The call for action. Now the responsibility shifts to the club. Real Madrid is not just another team, it is an institution that prides itself on bold decisions, on solving problems with ambition rather than patchwork. The message could not be clearer. The squad needs a proper right-back, a specialist who can secure the flank and free Valverde to return to his natural role. The midfield of Real Madrid has always been its soul. From the days of Piri and Netzer, to the elegance of Redondo, to the iconic trio of Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, the club has thrived when its midfield was intact, balanced, and allowed to operate at its full potential. Valverde, today, is part of that lineage. He is the new engine, the relentless heart, the man who makes the ball and the players move faster. To chain him to the sidelines is to silence a heartbeat. Conclusion: a player, a symbol, a reminder. What Valverde has done is not rebellion, it is a reminder. A reminder that players are not interchangeable chess pieces, that passion and clarity must guide decisions, that the crest deserves not just sacrifice but also wisdom in how its warriors are deployed. Federico Valverde has spoken not for himself but for the team. His call is simple yet profound: let me be who I am, and the team will be stronger for it. Real Madrid, if it listens, will find not a problem but an opportunity, to reinforce its weak spots, to honor the voice of one of its leaders, and to unleash once again the unstoppable force of its midfield dynamo. Because at the end of the day, Madridismo knows the truth. Feed Valverde is not a right-back. He is the tireless heart of Real Madrid's midfield, and that is where he must remain. Rodri and the Real Madrid dream, a transfer that could reshape European football. The name of Rodri Hernandez now echoes loudly within the walls of the Santiago Bernabéu. It is not a fleeting rumor nor a piece of idle gossip designed to fill the back pages of sports newspapers during the lull of the transfer window. This is something far greater, a potential strategic masterstroke that Real Madrid's leadership, and in particular Florentino Perez, is said to be monitoring with surgical precision. The Spanish international, widely regarded as the finest holding midfielder of his generation, has reportedly turned down an extension with Manchester City, a decision that instantly set alarm bells ringing across Europe. For the first time since leaving Spain for England in 2019, the door to a return to La Liga stands ajar, and there is a growing sense among insiders that Madrid, the eternal giant of European football, could be his natural destination. A career forged in dominance. Rodri's reputation did not materialize overnight. From his early beginnings at Atletico Madrid, through his crucial developmental years at Villarreal, to his transformative move to Manchester City, the midfielder has steadily risen to the summit of world football. At City, under the meticulous guidance of Pep Guardiola, Rodri evolved from a promising young midfielder into the heartbeat of a generational side. He was no mere cog in Guardiola's machine. He was the axis around which everything revolved. His positioning, his anticipation, his ability to neutralize opposition transitions, and his elegance on the ball turned him into the indispensable foundation of the team. The crowning achievement came in June 2023, when Rodri scored the decisive goal in the Champions League final against Inter Milan, delivering Manchester City their first European Cup in club history. That single strike was more than a goal. It was the embodiment of what Rodri represented: composure under pressure, tactical intelligence, and the ability to rise when the stakes were at their highest. The ideal profile for Madrid. Real Madrid, a club that thrives on great characters and footballers of unique temperament, see in Rodri not just a player, but a natural leader for a new era. Unlike speculative signings or young prospects who require time and patience, Rodri offers something rare: immediacy. He already knows La Liga, he already understands the cultural and media pressure of Spanish football, and he already carries the aura of a player accustomed to the biggest stages. At 28 years of age, Rodri is entering what many consider the peak years for a midfielder. He combines the maturity of a veteran with the physicality and stamina of someone in his prime. On the pitch, he would represent a tactical liberation for Real Madrid. His presence as a pivot would grant creative license to the likes of Jude Bellingham, Eduardo Camavinga, Federico Valverde, and even Luka Modric in his twilight years. By anchoring the midfield with discipline, balance, and positional awareness, Rodri would free his teammates to express themselves, to attack with daring, and to assume risk without destabilizing the system. "Rodri is the kind of signing that changes everything," commented one Spanish journalist on El Chiringuito. "He is not just an addition, he is the spine." Real Madrid would no longer have to compromise between creativity and control. They could have both. Symbolism beyond the pitch. There is also the symbolic weight of such a move. For the past 5 years, Real Madrid's transfer strategy has often leaned toward securing prodigious talents: Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, and now Endrick. It is a long-term project, one designed to ensure that the club maintains relevance and dominance well into the 2030s. But signing Rodri would be something else entirely. It would represent a declaration to Europe: Madrid does not only build for tomorrow, it dominates today. By bringing in a world-class player at the very height of his powers, the club would be reinforcing its message that it continues to dictate the terms of elite football. Florentino Perez has long understood that Madrid's identity is as much about spectacle as it is about substance. The Galactico philosophy is not merely about marketability, it is about sending messages of supremacy. Rodri, while perhaps quieter and less flashy than a Ronaldo or a Beckham, embodies an equally powerful archetype: the cornerstone, the guarantor of stability, the player who wins without noise but with an iron grip on the midfield. Shockwaves in Manchester. For Manchester City, the prospect of losing Rodri is nothing short of catastrophic. In England, pundits have described the situation as a structural fracture for Guardiola's project. Unlike when City lost Yaya Touré, David Silva, or even Sergio Aguero, there is no obvious successor within the squad who can replicate what Rodri provides. "Rodri is irreplaceable," former City captain Vincent Kompany said on Sky Sports. "You can replace goal scorers, you can replace wingers, but you cannot replace the brain of the team. If he goes, it's not just losing a player, it's like taking away the foundation stone of the entire building." Guardiola himself, according to reports, has been left deeply unsettled by Rodri's reluctance to commit to a new contract. The Catalan manager views him as untouchable, a non-negotiable element of his strategy. Yet the will of the player seems clear. After years of dominance in England, Rodri feels a pull toward home, a desire to return to Spain, and perhaps a yearning to write the next chapter of his career at the world's most prestigious club. A transfer that defines an era. Should Perez and Madrid's hierarchy succeed in orchestrating this move, it would be more than a transfer, it would be a historical pivot point. Just as the arrivals of Toni Kroos in 2014, Cristiano Ronaldo in 2009, or Casemiro's rise to prominence defined entire eras of dominance, Rodri's signing could herald the beginning of Madrid's next great cycle. It would weaken one of their primary rivals in Europe, strengthen their own foundations, and reinforce the mythology of Madrid as the club that always finds a way to secure the best, no matter the market dynamics. For Rodri himself, it would mean returning not merely as a Spanish player who succeeded abroad, but as a conqueror coming home, ready to inscribe his name alongside the legendary midfielders who defined Madrid's history, from Fernando Redondo and Claude Makelele to Xabi Alonso and Luka Modric. Conclusion. The saga is far from settled. City may yet attempt a desperate last push to retain him, while other clubs could circle if they sense even the smallest window of opportunity. But as things stand, the trajectory appears aligned. Rodri's heart is set on Spain, and Real Madrid is ready to welcome him with open arms. If the deal materializes, it would not simply be one of the transfers of the summer, it would be remembered as one of the defining moves of the decade, a seismic event that shifts the axis of European football. For Manchester City, it would be the end of an era. For Real Madrid, it would be the beginning of another. And for Rodri, it would be destiny fulfilled. Franco Mastantuono, the diamond Madrid stole from Barcelona. The signing of Franco Mastantuono has unleashed a wave of euphoria among Real Madrid supporters, reigniting that sense of excitement that only the arrival of prodigious talents can generate. At just 17 years of age, the young Argentine is already being hailed as one of the brightest prospects in world football, a player whose potential seems limitless. His transfer to Real Madrid is far more than a routine acquisition. It is both a strategic investment in the present and a bold declaration of intent for the future. For many, it represents nothing less than a masterstroke by the club's sporting directors, who have once again proven their ability to identify, secure, and polish the rarest gems on the global market. This is not merely about signing another teenager with promise. It is about bringing in a footballer who combines technical brilliance, tactical maturity, and psychological strength in a way that very few players of his generation do. In Mastantuono, Madrid see the contours of a star who could, if developed carefully, write his name alongside the legendary figures that have defined the club's history. First impressions at Valdebebas. From the moment Mastantuono set foot in Valdebebas, Madrid's state-of-the-art training facility, he began to attract attention. Coaches, scouts, and even senior players remarked on how unusual it was to see such poise and clarity in someone so young. His first training sessions revealed qualities that transcend raw talent. His impeccable first touch, the ability to turn between the lines under pressure, his natural scanning of the pitch before receiving the ball, and a vision that allows him to thread passes others would not even attempt. His decision-making is years ahead of his age, one member of the coaching staff reportedly said. He plays as though he has already spent 5 seasons at the highest level. He sees the game 2 or 3 moves in advance, and that's something you simply cannot teach. What is perhaps even more remarkable is his mentality. Many youngsters arriving from South America need time to adapt, not only to the tactical demands of European football, but also to the sheer pressure of being in an institution like Real Madrid. Mastantuono, however, appears immune to nerves. He asks for the ball constantly, thrives in tight spaces, and shows the kind of authority one would expect from a veteran, not from a teenager still finding his way in a new country. Madrid's long-term vision. The club has made it clear that they will not rush him, nor will they hide him away. Instead, they are building a progressive integration plan. Mastantuono will be given minutes gradually, initially in less demanding fixtures, learning step by step what it means to wear the most famous shirt in world football. He will train daily alongside world-class players, absorbing their habits, understanding the intensity required, and eventually carving out a role of his own. This is a familiar path at Real Madrid. In recent years, the club has perfected its method of nurturing young stars. Vinicius Jr. arrived as a raw talent, endured criticism, and is now one of the best forwards in the world. Rodrygo Goes, too, has matured steadily, delivering in crucial Champions League nights. Eduardo Camavinga and Aurelien Tchouameni have been blended into the squad with balance and patience. Jude Bellingham, meanwhile, exploded immediately, but his rapid impact was the exception, not the rule. Mastantuono will be managed carefully, but the expectation is that his ceiling is as high as anyone's. The fans' anticipation. Madridistas are already captivated. Social media platforms overflow with compilations of his skills, goals, and assists from his time in Argentina, mixed with clips from his first training sessions in Spain. Supporters debate his best position. Is he a natural number 10, a modern interior midfielder, or perhaps a wide creator who drifts inside? They speculate about partnerships, how he might combine with Bellingham in midfield, how his vision could complement Vinicius, or how his intelligence could unlock defenses alongside Rodrygo. The most common sentiment, however, is excitement. Madrid fans dream of seeing him at the Santiago Bernabéu, under the floodlights, dictating play in front of 80,000 people. For them, Mastantuono is more than just a player. He is a symbol of continuity, a guarantee that even as legends retire, the next generation is already being forged. The Barcelona rivalry. Perhaps the most dramatic subplot of this story is the failed attempt by Barcelona to secure Mastantuono. 4 months, the Catalan club worked to lure the youngster, believing they could replicate the success they once achieved with Lionel Messi. Reports in Spain suggested that Barcelona offered him a clear route to the first team, promising a starring role in La Masia's developmental system. But when Real Madrid entered the race, everything changed. The contrast between the two clubs could not have been starker. Madrid presented a solid, detailed project, backed by both sporting and financial stability. Barcelona, on the other hand, continues to be plagued by economic instability and internal uncertainty. Mastantuono's choice was not difficult. He had the option to go anywhere, one journalist wrote, but in the end, only Madrid could offer him the combination of opportunity, stability, and ambition. In Barcelona, the frustration is palpable. Publicly, some media outlets tried to downplay the disappointment, insisting the player was not a priority. But privately, there is a recognition that losing Mastantuono to Madrid is a bitter blow. It is not just about missing out on a promising youngster. It is about watching their eternal rival reinforce a reputation for decisive action while they remain stuck in hesitation. A complete profile. Mastantuono's appeal lies in his versatility. He can play as an attacking midfielder, drifting between the lines to orchestrate play. He is equally comfortable as a deep-lying interior, helping to progress the ball through midfield, or even as a wide playmaker cutting inside to link with forwards. His dribbling is fluid, his change of pace lethal, and his shooting from distance already impressive. Crucially, he combines these technical gifts with intelligence. He knows when to slow the game, when to accelerate, when to take risks, and when to recycle possession. Former Argentina U-17 coach Pablo Aimar, himself a legend of elegant playmakers, once remarked, "Franco has a maturity that reminds me of the greats. He doesn't just play the game, he interprets it." Such comparisons may sound premature, but they reflect the esteem with which he is already held. Echoes of history. For Real Madrid, this signing fits into a historical pattern. Throughout their history, they have been able to secure footballers at the dawn of their careers who later shaped entire eras. Raúl, Iker Casillas, Sergio Ramos, Cristiano Ronaldo, though older, he arrived at 24 with the world at his feet. And now a new generation of young stars such as Vinicius, Rodrigo, Camavinga, and Bellingham. Mastantuono is seen as the continuation of that philosophy, acquiring brilliance early, shaping it in the most competitive environment in the world, and watching it bloom under the brightest lights. The promise of tomorrow. If Mastantuono fulfills his potential, this could be a transfer remembered for decades, one that fans will point to as a turning point in Madrid's continued domination of the European stage. The stakes are enormous. His mix of natural flair and relentless competitiveness could make him not only a starter but a franchise player, the kind around whom future teams are built. In the eyes of the Madrid hierarchy, Mastantuono is not just another player. He is a statement, a reaffirmation that Real Madrid will always attract the brightest stars of tomorrow, no matter the competition. For supporters, he represents hope, the kind of hope that keeps stadiums full and dreams alive. The story is only beginning, but already there is a sense of inevitability. Franco Mastantuono is not here merely to pass through. He has the talent, the mentality, and the environment to leave his mark on football history. And if all goes as planned, his name will one day be spoken in the same breath as the icons whose portraits line the halls of the Santiago Bernabéu Museum.